Now, if what I'm suggesting is valid, as I believe it is, it means that the process of doing therapy, therapeutic work, needs absolutely necessarily to be individual, to be personalized, to be unique. In other words, the last thing on earth that any one of us needs is to be told we're suffering from this disorder, that disorder, or any of those kinds of generalizing, judgmental categories, you see. Now, I'm not saying that if, as a therapist, I am aware of those things we call disorders, that they might instruct me as to places where I can grow to mistrust my own feeling, I can grow to essentially betray myself because I don't know what it is I'm really aiming for. But the most important thing about the process, in my judgment, the most important thing, without exception, is that it be done uniquely, personally, individually. In other words, what I want is to be understood precisely where I was, where I am, what I feel. And when my therapist would say to me something that I respond to because I feel known, I feel seen, I feel gotten when that statement is made, you see, it had the effect on me of being able to come forward, to come forth with myself. Now, you see, if that isn't done, if your therapy is essentially a scolding one, where the therapist is, however indirectly, however kindly, instructing you on what you ought to do and why you're not doing it right, you as an individual will hear that. And you might be attracted to him or her, you might like him or her, you might feel that he or she is benign and that he or she is in your corner, or any of those things. But you will know that to come forward in the face of that kind of judgment will be dangerous. So part of you will always hang back. And we don't even recognize that that's the reality with which we operate, you see. If I show this part of myself, I'll be condemned. If I show this part of myself, I'll be judged. I'll be instructed. I'll be shamed. I'll be made wrong once again. I need that all over again, right? You see? So the accepting platform of this process is, in my judgment, absolutely indispensable. If you as an individual do not feel that you, in terms of your own particular want, your own particular need, your own particular anger, your own particular disappointment, your own particular resistance, your own particular provocation at one incident that happened when you were 6, whatever. Right? You want to know that that is perfectly okay, perfectly allowable, and the rest will follow, you see. Now, as one client of mine said the other day, this is, all he gets from the group he's talking to is this wrong, that's wrong, do this, do that, do the other. Can't wait to leave it. Well, thank God he wants to know, better yet, thank himself that he wants to leave it, because he's going to make himself safe. And he indirectly is aware of how he's being robbed, denied, deprived, shamed, once again, you see, by instruction of how to do things the right way. And the most important thing about that is that very often there isn't one way, you see, for this to be done. Now, a good example of that is the difference between an introvert and an extrovert. I happen to recognize that because I test like unbelievably introverted. My wife is an extrovert. So I'm going to be doing something that she might be tempted to judge. She's going to be doing something that I'm going to be tempted to judge. Well, no, you ought to speak up more. After all, you don't have to be so silent. When I'm doing my silence, I'm very happy to be doing that. I'm mulling things over. I'm processing. I'm thinking about it. That's my way of doing it. Shut the hell up. If you're talking, my wife calls her sister-in-law, my sister. If she could talk to her old aunt, she'd call her aunt. Well, she's an extrovert. She works it out by talking through, by working it out with another person. So is she going to do it differently from me? Right. So is my way of doing it wrong or her way of doing it wrong? No, neither one. But they sure are different. And that's what's often, you see, not seen. In other words, maybe you're quiet. Maybe you hold back. Maybe you're one of these little boys who doesn't speak up. In what way is that right? In what way are you respecting yourself? In what way are you quite authoritatively respecting the danger you were always in, you see? So it would be different for you as an individual if that was your experience and that's the right way for you to do it. Whereas with somebody else, the right thing might be to speak up, talk, tell people what you want, and you will feel better about doing it if that's the way it works for you, you see. But to say it's got to work that way for you, it must, it's the only way to work for you. No, that is, once again, put me in the place where I don't do it right, where I got to follow your rules, where I got to do something alien to me, you see, that will change me in some way. But won't, because I'll get it. I'll get the fact that it's negative. I'll get the fact that it's hostile, and I'll just hold back, you see. And so, if the therapeutic process, and that's what we're talking about at that stage of the game, if the therapeutic process, if being in therapy with an individual therapist does not lead you to feel that it is increasingly safe for you to be you, then something is missing from the process for you. And that's something that a lot of therapists will be aware of, a lot of therapists will not. And so it's important to realize that you put yourself in charge of the judgment of that process. You know whether or not you feel safe. Now, you could say, well, after all, I didn't feel safe with my mother, I didn't feel safe with my father, so of course I'm going to feel a lack of safety with this particular therapist, male or female, doesn't matter. But you see, that doesn't mean that your lack of safety isn't genuine. That doesn't mean that with this individual you are safe and you should talk yourself out of your fear. The thing to do is to assess whether or not that individual is genuinely receptive to what you feel, is genuinely listening, is genuinely not pushing you around and judging you, and allowing you more and more to enter the dialogue as you are, you see? Because when I can enter the dialogue feeling what I feel, being angry or being sad or being aggressive or being happy or totally over-involved or totally too big, whatever it is, you see, I at least am allowing myself to enter the process in a way that's familiar to me and from which I can move. So I need to come from my place, from who I am, what I feel. And that needs to be recognized as present in the process. If you as an individual do not feel that the therapist you're working with is doing his or her best to welcome you and your feelings as they are, then you're being hurt all over again. Who needs it? You see? And unfortunately, too many therapists, conflicting theories about what's good therapists, good therapy, and all the rest of that crap, you see, too much caught up in this. So it's, what I'm saying is, the authority, the right to judge this is yours as an individual. And that's what's taken away from us as kids. And that's what needs to be retaught to us as adults. And we enter into, in other words, the therapeutic development is to authoritatively enter into the expansion of my own being. I have the authority. So invite me forward. Invite me to be myself. You see, would be a good way to summarize the thing. And if I feel invited, then I am invited. If I don't feel invited, then I'm not being invited. I am the recipient of my experience. I'm the one who understands what's going on for me. And I am the one who knows whether or not I am being allowed to be myself in the process of exploration. If that authority is in any way diminished or robbed from me, then I am being hurt. And all too many of these guru types and instruction types and tell us how to do it types, you know, let me tell you how to do it. Let me tell you what you feel. Let me tell you the right way to do things. No. Let me suggest this or suggest that. What do you think about it? And that merits an individual response, merits your response. So if there are 6 of us sitting next to each other, we will have 6 different reactions to what that individual is saying to us, and rightly, because we have 6 different experiences, 6 different histories, 6 different emotional content. Yeah. Welcome to yourself and who you are. Yeah. And that's what the exploration is about. Who am I? What am I like? So then the questions in exploration of feelings is, you see, what is it that I'm looking for? Am I looking for my authority? Am I looking for love? Am I looking for humor? Am I looking for confidence? Am I looking for my intelligence? Am I looking for my sexual capacity? It's different in every individual, rightly. How did you feel you were robbed? You see, what of your being was diminished in the process of you being raised in the wonderful way we raise kids in the 21st century? Oh, God. Okay.